Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays and welcome back to another top 5 video. Actually, this is a top 6. We got a top 5 and an honourable mention. Now, this is the top 5 tournament tanks in tier 8. We've done tier 10, so now we've gone down to tier 8. Now, a lot of people don't really pay too much attention to tier 8 tournaments, when in fact they're not actually too bad. If you're just starting off a team in a clan that wants to get into tournaments and clan wars, tier 8 is actually a good sitting point to learn the basis in tier 10. And starting to get to know the tactics, the kind of tanks that you will play in tier 10. I mean, it's a way to stop against playing against the pros when you're trying to learn. I know we spoke through the first tank, but the first tank is the Emil 1 or the Emil 1951. It has a great, fantastic turret, and it's good to go hold down in and hold, especially if you've got 2 of them sitting there, pretty much like a double Kranwagen strat, but in tier 8. So the Emil 1 or the Emil 1951, preferably the Emil 1. It has the speed boost. I think it has a nicer turret. So yeah, the Emil 1 definitely up there to play in tournaments. Next up, the Tiger 2 is a newish heavy that is played in tournament tanks. In tournaments. Now, a lot of people have been playing the Tiger over sort of the Object 252U. Now, I'm going to add the Object 252U with the Tiger. Basically, you play either one of them. You either play the Object 252U or you play the Tiger. A lot of people prefer the 252U because it's kind of OP, but I wanted to add the Tiger because it is a tech tree tank. Anyone can play it, and you don't have to spend money to play a decent tournament tank. So I've added the Tiger instead of the Object 252U. So moving on to the next tank for tournaments, it is the VK100. Now, the VK100 isn't the greatest tanks in the game. However, it's mainly used to soak up your hit points, just like a mouse. So either the VK168 or the sort of the Malbracker, or the VK100 is good to sort of run in pairs. So double VKs. Again, just like the double mouse strat, it's there to sort of soak up the damage and just be a nuisance to the enemy team, whilst you have the sort of DPM tanks doing damage. You're just there to soak up the damage whilst your team are actually doing the damage. Of course, it has a big gun, so when you can do damage, you are actually doing some big damage to the enemy team. So you can't. I mean, you can bounce. You can definitely bounce in this tank, but your armor profile really isn't the greatest. So you do have to play it sort of very safe, and you don't want to just lose your hit points as early as possible, because you're not gonna. I mean, we bounce here, but don't forget, in tournaments you're going to come up against players that are going to focus you, that are on voice, that are telling each other to sort of go for this tank. But just like it's a good way to sort of double VK, it's a good way to learn the sort of double mouse strat. So definitely up there. Next up is the FE301. Now, again, just like the tier 10 light tanks, this is mainly used to go spotting with, to get the early spots. It's not really used to do the damage. It doesn't do that much damage. It's got good DPM, don't get me wrong. It can be a little nuisance. You can track tanks, you can keep because obviously the quick reload, and if you need to, you could just get the hell out of there, because it is a quick tank, it is a light tank. You can spot them really early on, so you can have a feel of where the team are going, if your team should carry on with the strat that you set, or if you should change the way of the game. So definitely you need a light tank in there. So I would probably go for this over the RU251, because obviously the RU251, you're just going to get absolutely deleted if you are spotted. This at least can take some shots. It can get some bounces from the turret. Next up, and this is probably the most the tank to take. This is the tank to take at the minute, and it is the Shark. Great turret, great gun depression. Basically, it is a tier 8 T110E5. So whenever I play tournaments, if we do go tier 8 just for fun, I mean, we have gone tier 8 before when we're sort of training a team in our clan or in a sort of different clan. Some people invite me to tournaments, and occasionally I do go into say, oh, yeah, why not? Not often, so don't sit there and invite me to tournaments. It's very, very rare, but sometimes, you know, I do fancy the odd tournament. And if it is tier 8s, I mean, sometimes we play for fun, and we don't want to go tier 10, because that is where you get the sort of the really, really good players. So we just want to sort of go down to tier 8 just to have a little bit of fun, maybe learn as a team, and then we can sort of move up to tier 10 if we are any good. So the Shark is definitely the tank to play in tournaments. It's my favorite tank to play in a tournament. You do have a few other tanks that you can play. You've got the Action X, which can sort of take the role of the Shark. It has the DPM, it has the turret, it has the gun depression, and also there are a few other tanks that you can play, like the Chinese heavy, the WZ112. 111-2 or whatever it is. So there are a few tanks to play in tier 8. TD wise, there's a few TDs that you can play. Excuse me, you can play the Scorpion, you've got the Borzik, you've got the ISU 152. So if you do want to play a TD, there are a few TDs, but my personal favourite choice is the WZ121FT, because this has it all. It has the armour profile, it has the DPM, it has the gun, it has the speed. So playing the WZ121 GF, whatever freaking tank it is, definitely a good choice. And this tank here is the honourable mention in this video. So there's a few tanks to choose from. I would say there's more tanks to choose from in tier 8 than there is in tier 10. So if you do play tournaments in tier 8, then you should really be playing one of these mentioned. Of course, there are going to be other tanks people do play, maybe the KV4 for side scraping purposes, etc. But there's a few tanks to play. A lot more to choose from than tier 10, let's say that. But tier 8, you still can earn credits in the tournaments. You can still learn how to play tournaments, learn as a team. So I think playing tier 8 tournaments is a good starting point for your team. So don't be afraid to play tier 8. Really, don't be afraid to play tier 8, just until you get your team together, until they start gelling together, and then you can sort of decide whether you're good to go for tier 10 or you should stay at tier 8 for a little bit longer. So that is my top 5 or top 6, as you might have seen. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, give me a sub. Let's get to 60k subs. I'm Meadsy, and I'll catch you soon. Bye bye.